that is coming in. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful workshop. We're looking forward to your participation. Feel free whenever you have questions to be asking. Also feel free whenever you feel like you want to say something. Your participation is really important to us, so we really appreciate it. My name is Antoinette Nyashamtiori. I am from Zimbabwe. I'm an independent researcher. I'm a communications specialist. I am a brand ambassador. I am a founder for the organization AM North, but I am a brand ambassador as well as communication specialist for the Inner City Mission. So AM North deals with children from disadvantaged backgrounds, that is all over Zimbabwe, and I founded this organization in the year 2020. And this was after I got inspired by the Inner City Mission, where I did voluntary work for quite a long time. So that was from 2014 to that, and I still participate with the very same organization. So today we're going to have a wonderful presentation with you. We have an amazing topic at hand. Your participation is very important to us, like I said. However, I have an amazing co-presenter. I will give her an opportunity to introduce yourself right now. So I'll hand it over to you. You can go ahead.
And let me jump in really quick because I need to read the privacy statement.
All right, it's okay.
Yes. Welcome to the Ashoka U Exchange. Ashoka is hosting this event and will be recording it. We may also use clips, images, recordings, quotes, and other parts of the recording in Ashoka publication and share via social media. If you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your camera and ask questions via the chat window. We will post additional information about the recording and consents in the chat box. If you have any other concerns, please directly message me. Over to you, Anita. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much. You can go ahead with the recording. Thank you. So, Alminda, I'll give this moment to you so that you can introduce yourself as well.
Well, thank you, Antoinette. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session. My name is Alminda Sakura. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I work for the Zimbabwe, I work for the Zimbabwe Young Men Christian Association, and I'm a branch coordinator at the Zimbabwe YMCA. I coordinate the Harare branch. I'm also a youth national youth officer at the YMCA, and I'm also an aspiring futurist, and I'm being trained within the YMCA. So basically, the YMCA is one of the largest youth organizations in the world, which is found in more than 110 countries and in more than 20 countries in Africa. The Zimbabwe YMCA is part of the Africa Alliance region. And at the YMCA, we empower young people through our various programs that we do. And mostly the targeted group is the young people, that is the youth. And we focus on aspects that affects young people, on how we can empower them and how we can create better youth, how we can create responsible citizens. And from the YMCA, we have a sector of education, which also goes in line with the presentation at hand, and also with the key values of Ashoka. And education, which is one of fundamental aspects in African policies, and we also try to empower them in terms of their health, in terms of economy and development and so forth. I'm a holder of a degree in philosophy at the University of Zimbabwe, and I also have certificates in project management, senior management development programs, and also in the E-Lab training, that is the futurist trainings of Foresight Lab. I'm so glad to be part of this presentation. I'm so glad to be part of this initiative. It's actually my first time, and I really hope to learn from all of you, and also to hoping to learn from other sessions that are also taking place. Thank you very much. Back to you, Antoinette.
Thank you so much, Alminda, for the wonderful introduction. I can see a lot of more new people are joining us. Welcome to this wonderful workshop. So we'll get right onto it right now. So I'm going to be sharing our screen here and there so that you can be seeing part of our presentation and our PowerPoint. But if you look in the bio, you can see the link that we have to our PowerPoint presentation so that you can be following with us in this workshop. And like I said, feel free to be writing in the chat section so that we can actually be responding to you as we go, and your participation, since this is a workshop, is really appreciated. So we'll get right onto it. Right now we have a topic at hand, quite an interesting, so we are sharing it from an African perspective, and we just thought, well, it's really beautiful to have quite a number of people to be participating with us, and we have a topic: embracing and endorsing African education and Atlantis-based survival strategy. So you might be saying, oh, Antoinette, what a topic that you have at hand. But then we looking at the quite a number of factors that have been affecting the African education system, and we thought to address it. And I believe we have quite a number of emeritus professors, a number of individuals from all over the world in various sectors of the education. And so this presentation won't be a debate mode, but rather we are looking for recommendations from you. We are looking to hear from you with, what you also have to say and how we can help not only the African education system at the end of the day, but also in every education system. So we are saying that education is the global language that we have right now all over the world. And once we have education at the center of the universe, then this world can become a better place, because we are working to have a global village that we have as a result of this education. And I really loved when I saw Ashoka use theme for this year, which was rising to the challenge, ordinary people making extraordinary change. I was like, wow, this is so beautiful, because we had so much in mind that we wanted to discuss with this with the world. And like we mentioned, I have Alminda, I'm sure she told you about her studies in Africa. I also studied for communication in Africa. I also did project management courses in Africa. I read for a communication degree in Africa as well. So it was quite an honor for me to have firsthand experience of African education and get to experience also at the same time the certain challenges that the education sector has been facing. So on the slide that we have, I have with me a quote from John Kufu that we thought was actually so beautiful, where he says education, particularly education in Africa, will take the mainstream Africa to the mainstream, actually, when he talked about globalization and the globalization factor that can be brought out from the education sector. So before I go any further, Alminda, I'm gonna pass back this to you so that you can give us an introduction, because somebody might be saying, okay, what fundamentals of education are you guys talking about? What is the presentation about? So Alminda, could you take us into the introductory part of our presentation so that everybody gets to just enjoy with us flawlessly? Back to you, Alminda.
All right, thank you. We realized through our research that education has various definitions to it, and some of them they they leave out the informal part of education if we are to define education in a systematic manner. And we've also realized from an African perspective that informal knowledge is also, informal distribution of knowledge is also part of education. So we have created a general definition of what education is, and we have come up with this definition from our researchers that education is the fundamental tool that is used to acquire essential knowledge and skills. So this will incorporate both the systematic or the formal education and also the informal education, also called the traditional education. Taking you back to how African education has evolved in Africa, we had to speak before the colonial era and also during the colonial era and the post-colonial era. We realized in Africa it was more of informal education, and whereby it was spread from one generation to the other. Young people they would go to sacred rituals where they would learn about life, or they would learn about certain skills from their elders, and so it was also the same with women, where they would go on sacred rituals and teach the young people about their creeds, about their culture, and so forth. So this was the informal education in Africa, and it also included the aspect of hunting, gathering, cooking, and so forth. We also see that Africa had a lot of its a way on how it conserved its way of life, and we thought it was how they could educate the next generation. And these were writings that we find also in the pyramids of Egypt. We also find these writings also on the walls of caves, especially in the sub-Saharan, where we find these writings on rocks, on walls, where they used to live, even in the baobab trees, the oldest trees that would last for a long time, where they would inscript how they would live and how they survived during that era. And going on also during the 15th century, around 15th century, when the Europeans set foot in Africa, we realized that their intention was not to formally educate Africans. Well, this is not a colonization presentation, but rather a way that we are trying to reveal how education has evolved in Africa. When the settlers settled in Africa, their only aim was to create a vocational education, which was meant for laborers and not for critical thinking, and not also for Africans to really think beyond. As time goes on, the French, they created schools which were meant for the elite, and also the British around the 19th century and the 20th century, whereby they established secular schools in Africa, and thereby creating the system that we have today in our educational system in Africa. And the education that was established by then, it was meant to assimilate the Africans and to become intermediaries between Africa and the Europeans. And as Africa gained its independence, we realized that Africa engaged in a vast to establish more universities, more schools, high schools, universities, and so forth. And it has been evolving since independence, and that some of these things have been spearheaded by the African leaders. For instance, the roles that have been played by Kwame Nkrumah in terms of education development in Africa, the roles that have been played by also the former president of Zimbabwe, who is now dead, President Robert Mugabe. He also perpetuated the issue of education in Africa. So basically, Africa has become a very critical aspect of development, which has been used to lay foundation for social well-being, economic growth and security, and also gender equality and peace. And this has been noted on how education has impacted Africa, on how education has created a better Africa, and how it has helped to create more professional people who are accepted at an international, professional, global arena, whereby young people or people we have attained African education have been headhunted also by international companies to lead great companies through the education that has been attained in Africa. So basically, this is what we are going to talk about: African education, the challenges that African education is facing, how effective and the impacts of African education in this presentation, and also its inclusion even at a global arena in terms of its products, that is the produce that it's giving out. Back to you, Antoinette.
Alminda, thank you so much. That was really beautiful to get to have the introduction from you. I can see more people are joining. Thank you so much to everyone who is joining. It's an honor to have you here. So we're going to move forward with our presentation. And right now we'll talk briefly about the focus points that we have here. So we have quite a number of focus points. Alminda has already raised some of them, and then now I'll just be sharing with you some of them as well. So our aim, as you can see on the screenshot that I'm on the PowerPoint I'm sharing with you, is to just create a better education community. So we were saying, regardless of the social and economic dynamics of this world, we want everyone to be treated or actually accepted on global arenas. We really understand that, yes, the need is there. The need, we have noticed the need being there. And this is what actually influenced most of our workshop today. And yeah, like I mentioned, would be looking forward to hear from you as well. So African students are as equally well equipped, actually, intellectually, to be part of international platforms or scenarios, if I'm to say. So education, yes, like Nelson Mandela mentioned, that it is the most powerful weapon which can be used to change the world. That is actually a definite a very vibrant statement there that he made. And you know, yes, we really understand that there are actually a lot of rankings that we have. There are rankings that are being made in terms of institutions all over the world. Who is the best university? Who is the best college in the world? But we are saying, okay, fine, we understand that notion, but we are actually vying for the fact that not only for Africa, but every other student in the rest of the world is equally accepted, should be equally acceptable in the global arena, so as to say. So education systems in all over the world now are a matter of ranking, so as to say. But we want to have a scenario whereby background is actually separated from intellect, and at the same time resources are also separated from intellect, because at the end of the day we notice that in terms of African perspective, it seems that because of African statistics of financial resource and actually development wise, these are the notions that are mainly used to determine whether these universities in African colleges as well, or tertiary institutions, can actually be brought back to the international platforms or to the international arenas. And there are so many questions as to whether, I'm sure Alminda will elaborate on that further on, where she will talk about not even 30 of African universities making it to the top 100 of the best universities in the world. So our debate was, in as much as we understand, yes, we respect various boards all over the world that are making great and tremendous impact to show ranking, but then our claim still remains that the notion of resource playing a part as to determine who is better and who is not, because regardless of where a person is from in the world, they should their intellect is equally important. And our presentation still goes for the fact that, yes, we really also for the fact that we cannot dismiss that fact that yes, resource come into power, but intellect is something that should be appreciated on an independent level. Any other I would say most universities also that are being top ranked are because they are universities that have English as the first language of instruction. Most of universities in Africa do have that, yes, they do. But then what about those that do not have English as the language of instruction? What about those as well? Are they not good enough to be recognized as well? So yes, we have those focus points that we are still going for and that we still want to have. So our presentation focus, like we mentioned, we want to solidify that fact. You can be following the PowerPoint with me that African education can be accepted globally. It can be accepted globally. The levels and standards of intellect are very useful to the economy. The global implementations of African education, like I mentioned, Amuminda will elaborate further, is also important. And then, yes, there are quite not a number of notions of global universities alumni also that we got to have quite a number of interaction with, who also mentioned that there was a very need that these notions be addressed. And like I mentioned, that we have emeritus people in very important and vital boards all over the world, and their participation in this would be something we would really and greatly appreciate. So we ran a survey with survey.com. Very soon I'm going to share with you the link that we used for that particular survey. We asked quite a number of people who are actually educated within Africa to take part in the survey, and we wanted to hear from them, and the results, I must say, were resounding, and we got to learn quite a lot. We got to learn quite a lot more from them than we actually expected. So we did a survey with them. I want to take you to the link of the survey. If you can follow me just a moment. So we got the results of part of the people who took this particular survey. On part of it, we asked quite a number of them if they were confident of the education that they had taken. I'm sure the statistics would speak for themselves. A number of them so we asked them this question, that do you actually think, or do you actually believe that African education was useful and did you better? And a lot of them actually went for the option that I could have done better with vocational training. So quite a number of them were for the notion that if they were trained in vocational arenas only, it could have been better rather than taking a particular degree or a particular program in an institution. Their notion was that after getting so many studies, after getting so many, getting the exposure in the African education system, they faced quite a number of stereotypes which they actually felt were quite unfair, and they were not appreciated on the international arena. And they actually feel that, yes, if I had an opportunity, I would have just taken vocational training instead. So let me take you also back to the very same PowerPoint so that you get to see the results as well. So we asked on the notion of quality education, because we were quite concerned with the notion of quality education, and we wanted to know if a lot of them would agree if education was universal. And quite a number of them do agree to that fact, that yes, the notion of education is universal, but then they were still not confident that if it's still universal in that very sense, that they would still be equally accepted in the international arena. So to do justice to this, like I mentioned, I'm going to be sharing the link to the survey so that you also get to just see for yourself some of the implementations that this has taken the African community as a result of ranking, as a result of background and everything, which was also affecting quite a number of people as well. So yes, in that very same notion, we have quite a number of people as well who are for the fact that if they had an option to be in the international arena, yes, numbers speak for themselves. A number of students actually believe that one say that African colleges don't empower the students, whilst other colleges create well-informed graduates. So other colleges in this case refers to international colleges in every other continent other than Africa itself. And a lot of people, we asked how education had helped them in the African education system, if it had helped them in getting their job, or if they felt equipped, so as to say, from the education they got. Unfortunately, the results were very negative. And then we asked quite a number to give us feedback as well from the stereotypes that they have first, and they still go back to the fact that yes, if I was educated in Africa, the notion or the belief that many have is that I'm not good enough to be recognized in this international arena. And we really hope after this session everything would be corrected. So yes, we do have quite a number of, so to say, we have quite a number of session outcomes that we really look forward that would really make a change. So the session outcomes that we have quite a number of them, like I mentioned, is to create a breed of scholars that appreciate intellect regardless of where in the world they are educated, and also to dispel the misconceptions of the world's disunity and like we mentioned, the standards of education on what is acceptable, what is not. And then this is also a skill building opportunity. I would have to confirm with Michelle, but we have a poll that we took, and you can go on the poll section on Attendify and try and engage yourself in that poll as well. If it's not there yet, I will notify you the moment that it just comes up, so that you can get to take part in the poll and give us your feedback on what you think about the African education sector. So yes, we have we are part of our desired learning outcomes that we present in Africa with standards to educations that should not be demoralized. So as a result of this workshop, I hope at the end of the day we have a new attitude in the scholarly space, and we have actually scholars who appreciate each other better, and then a possibility for consideration of accepting African education systems as they are. So, but so to say, we are looking forward to your recommendations and what you have to say. So we took quite a number of engagements with quite a number of people, and we had question and answer and segments and online interviews, virtual discussions, surveys, some of which the survey I've already shared with you, and we had quite resounding feedback as well. So our data, like I mentioned, we observed some of it from our experiences of learning in Africa as well, and then some of it we derived through these various platforms that I mentioned on the previous slide. So I'll just skip the slide, and then I'll take you to the slide where we noticed that for most African students to be recognized or accepted in internationally recognized institution regarding English being their language of tutorship in the colleges or facilities or high schools that they go to, when they want to go to tertiary institutions, they still have to take the SATs to be internationally recognized or accepted in an institution. I believe quite a number of you would are familiar with SATs or language tests like the TEOFL, some call it TOEFL, and then we have the IELTS test as well. It's not mentioned on the slide, but there's a language test that are recognized all over the world. That are taken for many students to then be accepted in institutions. So we are actually for the notion that we are recommending maybe oral interviews in this section rather than assessment as per writing or as per test, because considering the same thing, let's say a student from Africa who took an undergraduate, they'll still have to take quite a number of these tests. Maybe if they say they want to take a graduate study, in another continent, and the cost as well, considering the basics of African education, the cost, the average cost and the average salary or average income that most families have, this is quite a stretch for most young people in Africa. And we are also saying that there is a need for African studies to be considered as co-equals, so as to say. And like I mentioned earlier on, we are for the notion that the world needs to separate. It needs to separate the poverty that is seen in the backgrounds from the intellect, from the dynamics of education that are in Africa. But for this time, I think I want to give Alminda the time to continue this presentations. You start with the need that we have. So if you, like for now, I would give time to Alminda. I'll be looking forward to your questions in the chat section. You can write to us so that we can be answering, and then so that you can also be participating. Alminda, over to you right now.
Okay, thank you, Antoinette. So we are our basis of our the basis of our debate is to put African education and to show its relevance and in terms of its produce, that is what African universities produce, that is the educated people, the motivated people, and are they able, do they suit international do they possess what it all takes to be at the professional market, having the background of African education. So our debate is not meant to defend African education. No, not at all, but it is meant to put it on the limelight so that we may have a critical, constructive criticism on African education. How can we build it? How can we develop it? How can Africa be recognized just like any other universities? How can Africa be helped in terms of its development, in terms of its dynamic changes in its educational system? And we, like what Antoinette has said, how can Africa be able to attain positions of the top 10 global university rankings? Yet we realize that universities are seen in the 100th something position on global rankings in terms of universities in the world. So our debate, the basis of this debate is also to develop African education, at the same time embracing its education and also endorsing its credibility, since we have realized that Africa has produced individuals. We have done great things. We have contributed to the development of humanity, even in our society. And we have seen that African education has also fit in terms of individuals who aspire to get their masters in Europe or in America or in Asia, and we have seen that African education has got the qualities in which its individuals directly fit into to enroll for master's degrees, for PhDs and so forth. So the basis of our debate, ladies and gentlemen, is to develop African education, to include it, and also to respect even our Africanness in terms of what we offer and our perception on education. In all of this, ladies and gentlemen, we are not trying to defend only our African education, but we are also trying to showcase and also to let people dig in deep about African education, what it provides even to the world, what it has got to offer to the world. And despite all this, Africa, just like any other continents, its educational systems faces different type of challenges that it faces, but in all, the education system is used as a way of surviving strategies by many Africans who attend education in Africa. We have realized that Africa is facing a number of challenges, and we realized from our research that poverty contributes, have an impact in learning in Africa. And we have seen that the issues ranges from tuition, technology, illegal activities, brain drain, and so forth. So if we are to look at finances in Africa, we've realized that Africa is one of the richest continents in the world in terms of resources, and yet Africa is one of the most poverty-stricken continent in the world, and this is due to its finances, which has also affected African education. And most students, they face challenges in terms of tuition fee, and having this situation that affects even the progression of education, because educational systems are there, but education without students it's an incomplete equation. Therefore, the government and the governments of Africa and other outside organizations have helped Africans to continue with their education through provision of bursaries, and the students have been given a chance to apply for bursaries, and this come from international organizations, regional organizations, individuals, firms, and NGOs, which provide scholarship for students to pursue their education. These opportunities have alleviated financial burdens within the educational system. We also look at illegal activities that is also affecting African education system, and how African education is trying to curb such activities in perpetuating the goals, the mission of education in Africa. We've realized African continent is also been faced with illegal activities or crimes such as drug abuse, which is highly noted in African education students. And we have also seen prostitution, theft, substance abuse, murder, and violence. These all things are emanating from the stem of poverty. However, the African Union last year has been safeguarding policies that have been trying to curb issues of illegal activities, of crime within the African state. That is, last year, the African Union theme was silencing the gun, trying to curb issues that affect development in Africa. We also realized that Africa is facing issues to do with poor performance, and poor performance which is emanating, which is connected to poverty. And family status have a social impact on students' performance in school, and average grades and poor performance from these students affect the quality of education in Africa. We have realized that students that faces mental health issues, these issues include a high level of stress, depression, cutting out behaviors, even aggressions, and these are some of the behaviors that are emanating from poverty, which is also affecting education system in Africa. We have also realized that education in Africa is not only affected by that. We have also issues that has to do with brain drain in Africa. Brain drain in Africa, brain drain in Africa has been seen as having a negative impact in Africa. That is, most educated personnel in Africa are being recruited, especially in Europe and also in Asia. And this has affected the African education. And according to the Mo Ibrahim Foundation, they say that in 2015, the number of African trained international medical graduates practicing in the US alone reaches 13,584, 27.1% increase from 2005. This is equivalent to about one African educated physician migrating to the US per day over the last decade. In 2015, 86% of all African educated physicians working in the US were trained in Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. On average, it costs each African country between $21,000 to $59,000 to train a medical doctor. 9 countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Malawi, Nigeria, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, have lost more than $2 billion since 2010 from training doctors who then migrated annually. It is estimated that Africa loses around $2 billion through brain drain in the health sector alone. And if we are to look to other sectors, we realize that Africa is also facing issues of brain drain, due to international recruitment. And this destination, they do not pay the cost of training African doctors they recruit. And this also shows the effect of brain drain and how the effect contributes also to the African education. It also shows how African education is being able to produce highly demanded professions at the world market. We've seen many African professional people migrating to the European states, migrating to America, migrating to Asia to attain or to perpetuate their education and also to work there, showing also how the relevance of their education even outside African continent. We have also the issue of technology, whereby Africa, in light of COVID-19 in 2020, African education has been exposed in that African education was more of a brick and mortar interaction, that is the classroom interaction. And most of African education content are in hard copies. And the effect of COVID-19 have forced everyone to be in isolation, the restrictions of movement, the restrictions of going to school as to curb the spread of COVID-19. And also this affected the African education. And it shows that Africa is also facing resource constraints, which have been limiting the delivery of better education in Africa. These challenges are challenges that are facing Africa, but at the same time, Africa is annually producing best professions also, which are required also even at the profession market internationally. And also we have seen that technologies affected also its delivery in terms of delivering the best African education. And these issues, they rank from e-learning, they rank from lack of electronic content, which has also affected African education, technological facilities that enables access to online content, and also electricity blackouts, low computer literacy, lack of expert instructors. But in all of this, Africa has been trying to address these challenges. For instance, Strive Masiwa, one of one of the richest men in Zimbabwe, he stated that Africa should shift from relying only on hydroelectric power and also take advantage of its natural resources, which is also the sun, whereby we can get solar energy from the sun, and also which will increase even the energy in terms of producing or better education. And we have seen that Africa is also termed the sun continent, which means most of African universities, they need to embrace the use of solar energy. And we have also seen the universities in Egypt, which are in partnership with Arabs, also creating projects that are using solar energy, so that as to perpetuate its research and development. It's also provision of energy within the universities. We have also seen the issues of poor infrastructure. Poor infrastructure in Africa are the challenges that the universities are facing, and some of the challenges are beyond Africa, because some of them, they are caused by natural disasters. If you look at the recent one, that is the cyclone Idai, which affected the southern Africa, which greatly affected Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. These were affected by the natural disasters of heavy rainfalls, and some of these affects the infrastructure in Africa, and there's also contributing to slow the development of African education. However, this has not left. However, I cannot use the same brush in terms of poor infrastructure, because we have universities like South Africa, we have universities in South Africa, we have universities in Egypt, in Nigeria, we have been producing infrastructures that are of the state-of-art infrastructure. That is the universities in Cape Town, the Rhodes universities. Those universities have been developed yearly to create better universities in terms of their infrastructure. Although other universities are being affected, and also poor infrastructure, which is affecting services, education services deliveries in Africa. We have also the issues of exams leaking. Exams leaking are not peculiar to Africa, but these are some of the issues that are affecting other universities in the world. However, these issues are emanating from poverty, and education in Africa is used as an exit to poverty. And education in Africa has been affected by exams leaking, and this has been seen in countries like the South Africa. We have seen it whereby in 2020 the matric paper leaked in Gauteng and Limpopo, showing the effects of poverty. And we have also the same happened also in Malawi, and the same also happens in other countries like Ghana, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and Zambia. The president of Malawi had to call off the national exams, but showing the authenticity of African education, because education cannot continue if it's being used with shortcuts. And in as much as this has been done, for instance, the department in South Africa had to control the damage that was caused by the leaking of the exams. And ladies and gentlemen, these are issues that are affecting African education. But despite Africa facing such challenges, African educational system is striving in producing better deliveries in terms of its system. And we have also the issue of violence. Violence is not only peculiar to Africa. Most universities are being faced by violence as a challenge to their educational system. And we have seen violence happening in Africa, and this has also affected African education. Violence and wars, which are constantly going on, especially in the Eastern and Western and Central Africa, whereby wars, they are constantly occurring in those areas. more than 10,000 schools in Africa, and more than 2 million students dropped after being forced out of school. And in Nigeria, at least 611 teachers were deliberately killed and 19,000 forced to flee between 2009 and 2015. Violence has affected African education. Nonetheless, like what I've highlighted, ladies and gentlemen, that African Union, other organizations like the African Academy of Sciences, like the SADC, and also Economic Community of West Africa, Southern African Development Community, that is the SADC, East African Community, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, COMESA, to mention but a few, UNESCO, they are doing great things to help African education, to meet the worldly standards, to help African education to provide a better educational system in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, these issues that are affecting Africa are not only issues that are unique to Africa, but these are issues that are also affecting other universities. But what we are saying here is we need to embrace the credibility of what Africa is producing. We need also to endorse its authenticity, where it's doing good, where it's also producing people who are running large firms, large organizations in the world. Let me give the example of Ms. Cheryl Sharon. She's one of the director of Coca-Cola Africa. Holding such a position, having attended African education, it shows the credibility and the quality of education. We have seen presidents, we have seen people, we have attended also even African education and also education that is outside of Africa, and we have done great things. We have seen also the likes of businessmen who are trying to improve the economy of Africa, despite having attained the education in Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, our debate is basically on exposing what Africa has at the same time and exposing our weaknesses as to how we can develop African education, as on how we can see what African education is all about. Like what our topic is saying, that we are seeing it from a lens of a surviving strategy. African education is used as an exit to poverty, is used as a way to development, is used as a way to establish its economy, to establish itself in terms of progress. Ladies and gentlemen, we also talked about issues that affect Africa only, and we also expose things also that are helping Africa in terms of its development. We have seen most presidents in Africa, they are very educated, and some have attained education in Africa, and they also attained education outside Africa. If I may to give the example of the recently late John Magufuli, who is also regarded as one of the most educated presidents in Africa, showing the credibility of African education. Hence, we are in this debate, we are trying to put African education on the light so that the world may know about African education. If there is need to dig more, to research more, to critically construct what is needed for African education to get where it must get. We also realized that most of the students who are enrolled at the universities, they come from middle classes, lower classes, and of course the upper classes. But as Africa is like what I've highlighted earlier on, that Africa is also one of poorest continents in the world, which means that most of the majority people in Africa are poor, but some of them, Africa is continually producing millions and millions of educated people annually, showing that education is used as a survival tool by Africans. We have also realized that the people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds are inspired to work hard within the African tertiary community. That is, they strive to attain better grades as most of their lives depends on it, showing that African education, in as much as people of course, they are facing social problems, but African education has been standardized in such a way that people need to work hard to attain better grades. People use education as a way that will redeem them from their predicament, and also knowing that there are no second chances because of poverty. Education is used as a tool that people use to run away from poverty, and also to develop themselves, to make themselves better. We have seen also, in light of this also, ladies and gentlemen, our education is a borrowed system. The education in Africa was left by the settlers, and we inherited the system. And most of our education, the content that we use the content that is mostly used in Europe, as Africa was mostly colonized by the Europeans, and also the Arabs also. We have this content, and this content shows that if Africans are able to are doing better, are producing better grades, it shows that they're credible, in the sense that the same content that we inherited, which is also used in other universities, particularly in the European sector, it also shows that Africans in Africa are also having the same content that they are gaining from their counterparts. And in as much as Africa is trying to embrace African education, is trying to embrace its Africanness in its education, most of our education system, most of our education content is borrowed. We also seen that those who come from disadvantaged backgrounds have managed to attain tertiary education and excel better, showing the need to use the education as a survival strategy. And ladies and gentlemen, just like what Antoinette has highlighted earlier on, that we have the poll that is going on, and everyone is welcomed to participate on this poll. And from this poll, we wanted to understand education from people who had taken part of this poll. And this poll is also open to all of you to take part, and to give us your views on African education, what you think about African education. The motive was to understand how people feel about the education, and also to help those who are in administration, who sits in educational educational boards that controls management of the African education system, on how they can be able to construct, to develop, to rearrange the African educational system. We asked if people would agree on the quality that education is universal. This we meant that, let's say for instance, the content that we find in science, logic, and mathematics, these things, they are universal, and these things are also being taught in African university, and people had to answer to these questions and see what they think about the universality of education. And we also wanted to see if people could believe in a standardized quality of education. And since the world is getting into a global village, are we able to have a standardized quality of education that we found in Africa, education that we find in Europe, education that we find in Asia? Is it possible to have it in a standardized manner? We also asked if African education is relevant to the world professional market, if what Africa is producing is good enough to the world, if what Africa is producing, is it good enough for the world to recruit them. We also asked people if they could consider pursuing studying in African university or vocational centers. And we have also asked if people think that educational systems have possibility of self-governance. So this we're talking about propounding on theories, methodologies, hypotheses, literature, and content. And we have also realized this has been happening since the independence, in that the likes of Kwame Nkrumah has been advocating for Pan-Africanism in his education system. He has been advocating for nationalism. He has been advocating for education. We have seen the likes of Chimamanda making great strides even in the education arena. We have seen the likes of Dambisa Moyo propounding her own theories in the economic sector. We have also seen the likes of Professor Lumumba urging Africans to embrace our own Africanness, our own education. We have also theories of Ubuntu. We need it to be also included in African education, also to be taught not only at university levels, but also to be taught even at elementary levels. We have seen also the professor also propounding that we need to decolonize the education and start to create our own content, our own education. These are people who made strides, or who are making strides even in creating our education better, in making it better, in developing it better. So basically, our presentation was mainly based on trying to let the world embrace and endorse African education. Not only that, to help also create a better education. We have pride in the likes of it is considered that the first universities was found in Africa. That is the Al Qarain in Morocco, and also the Al-Zasha, sorry for my pronunciation, that are found in the university found in Egypt, and also eventually Sierra Leone and other countries engaging in establishing universities, showing the need, showing the strides that African education system is making in creating African, using education as a critical tool for development, as a critical tool for attaining gender equality, as a critical tool for peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the things that African education is facing in terms of its challenges, and how it's trying to curb such challenges, and also for the world to see, despite having these challenges, Africa annually is producing professionals who are also demanded, even headhunted by global companies. So, Antoinette, can you kindly give us some of the videos which shows how our own African icons, how they are impacting African education? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alminda. Because of time, it's very unfortunate. I think we had so much to share. I want to open the platform to others as well, so that they can get to participate. I saw Ken also sent us an amazing link, which has some of the statistics which show education in sub-Saharan Africa. I already downloaded it. You can also download it too. I'm not too sure if Ken would want to say something, or if there's someone would want to contribute or ask a question or say something concerning African education. I think this is now your opportunity.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Abel. I'm a professor in one of the universities in Kenya. So thank you very much, Antoinette and Alminda, for the presentation. You've actually touched on a very important area that is coming out very well in the African continent on what next after having education. As you've mentioned, both of you, that it came by ship. What do we need to do now that we have seen all this? So yes, what you have said is true, is right. But now we need to think now beyond that level. And I think mine is not a question, mine is just a comment out of my experience here in Africa, because I've been to South Africa, West Africa, I've been to Europe and several parts of the world. They are very interesting insights, and I think you have mentioned some of them. And one of them revolves around the relevance of the African education. When you look at education, for example, in Japan, you see that education is a way of life. But as you've mentioned, and Alminda also, one is looking at education to an African is a way of escaping poverty, which is very, if you look at it, it is like maybe a confusion, because if I give you examples like handicrafts, an example of handicrafts, even in Kenya and even West Africa and South Africa, is a big business in Africa, but not to the Africans, to the foreigners. Why? Why is it to the foreigners? We plant tea and coffee, but the consumers of the tea and coffee, they are not in Africa. Why? What a case like of tourism? Kenya here, we are rated very well in the country tourism. Kenyans, a good number of them have never been to a national park. Sorry to say this. They have never gone there. So what is the problem? What is the problem? Africa is completely endowed, very rich with literally everything. The first time I went to South Africa was in 2004. And I could not believe what I saw. Today, in Kenya, if I look at what I'm seeing in Nairobi today, I even don't know what I saw in South Africa, because what I'm seeing here is completely different. So what I'm trying to put across is that time is ripe. Things are changing. It is now upon us to bring the changes that are required. The other issue, which is closely associated to that, is what is the measuring yardstick, even if we want to standardize this education, because standardization is a very different issue. If the yardstick is zero, then that is a very big mistake. We need to have a yardstick which is across Africa or even across a particular given continent. And I think the coming up of the African Continental Free Trade Area is going to give us a lot of impetus. It is easier for somebody to leave Harare and go to London than to come to Nairobi. You know that. Even the ticketing is very, 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 very difficult. So what I'm trying to put across is that a lot of things have changed. In Kenya here, what we have here now is plenty of education. Plenty of education means you have people who have PhDs, you have people who have primary, secondary education, they are all over. If you want people to work anywhere now, you get them. So the problem now requires an answer. And the answer is, what do we do that now we have educated people and there are no jobs to be done? Now, what is happening is that we have implemented something called competency-based curriculum, which is now coming in class 4, grade 4, it's coming up. So in a way, we are looking at how do we address the problem internally, because there are many things to be done. People are living farming, people are living basic things which are African, which means what I'm trying to put across is that if we target doing what an African should do in terms of African traditions, in terms of African roles, in terms of African blah, 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 then we have the right person and the right type of occupation. So the research is coming out. We are doing a lot of research on this particular given area. And of course, the differences between the who is going to minimize with the time. And yes, the posing on how to address, the question you are posing on how to address the education in Africa, I think is right. The social models are being used across in different parts of the continent. So we are in the West patiently give us maybe another 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and you'll find a lot of plenty of African education taking place globally. It is an attitude, it's a mindset. That is the problem. It is a problem of what is an African identity. That's the problem. And I think we are getting out of that. So thanks for the presentation. For thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was like a very interesting approach to the topic and a very immense contribution. I loved it. Thank you so much, Mr. Meru. Yes, the platform is still open for those who have contributions, if you want to say something, if you want to mention something, I think that would be great. I'm not too sure if Ken is still on. I would have loved for Ken to still share with us in a minute or two the statistics he shared with us. Ken, yes, he's still available. You may go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me this session. So actually, I don't know what exactly African country is or what people think about right now. But so some of my friends in Africa, the Ghana, Kenya, South African. So those people say African has a long tradition. So the African country has each country has a different legacy and the beauty of culture. So everybody in the country said, yes, this is my country, this is my culture, this is my history. So I think so education system could to maintain the legacy or beauty of African, like a Ubuntu culture. And so also at the same time, westernized country probably could give good opportunity to learn what the westernized culture was, what the westernized education system to bring those things to African home countries. So I think so. So it's a time to depart from the so-called African era to the thriving continent in 2050, 60s, 70s. And that the statistics that shows the 60s and 70s, the population of center of gravity is going to be in sub-Saharan area. That's your time. That's your generation. This is my comment and my feelings. Thank you for the session.
Wow, thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much. That's so wonderful to have so many wonderful people contributing with such beautiful perspective. Thank you so much. I think we could still accommodate maybe one or two short comments or a question. Please feel free. The platform is yours. Yes, the platform is open to everyone. You can give us your perception concerning the topic, embracing African education and lenses-based survival strategy. But because of time, if there's someone, please go ahead and unmute your mic and give us your perspective. But because of time, let me take this opportunity to thank you, our amazing panel, our amazing workshop members. It was amazing to have all of you to listen to us, and I'd like to thank Ashoka you for awarding us this amazing opportunity that we have heard. We cannot take this opportunity lightly. It does not come lightly, so we are really grateful for the time that we've heard with each and every one of you. Alminda, do you have something that you would want to say?
I also want to give my closing remarks to thank even the Ashoka Exchange for the opportunity, and also for you nominating me to be part of the presentation. And I've been learning a lot through other discussions, and I hope to engage with all of you, and also your contribution even to the research and what you said also it's quite overwhelming. We'll also continue to dig in and to research into African education. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. So we have on the link you can search on the link that we have, or the PowerPoint presentation. Our contacts are there. So please feel free. Yes, it's now a community. You can reach out at any time with any questions or contributions. Would be glad. Thank you so much, Ken, for sharing your email as well. We'll gladly save it and be contacting you, and everyone who has joined in. Most of you, I know some of you might as well might have been educated in Africa at some point. So thank you. We are really looking forward to be taking more researches with you, to be participating together with you. And it's a minute just before it ends. Time flies. I wish we had much more time to discuss more, to open more platforms for discussion, or even the videos that Amida had mentioned. But yes, we will say it on our bio so that you can also get the videos we wanted to share with you and everything. So thank you everyone for this wonderful time. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of the exchange, and please let us know also your presentations. Email us so that we can participate as well. It will be an honor to participate in your workshops and Spark sessions as well. It's because this conference has been amazing. So thank you everyone. Have a good day.